Ganja soup.
I grew up on this street in Little Italy. When my mom made soup, you could taste it from here. Good soup, thick with ravioli and vegetables from this stand. Now I get that same taste with new soup de pasta. Soup de pasta sticks to your ribs, just like Ma's. Rich broth thick with garden vegetables and pasta, like beef ravioli or beef cannelloni.
Mmm.
Soup de pasta is from Chef Boyardee. Soup de pasta. It's soup like Ma's.
KSTP TV, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Channel 5.
I'm Steve Edelman.
I'm Sharon Anderson. Coming up today on Good Company, we're going to find out from the man who writes the His column in Mademoiselle magazine what men really want from women.
Also, our Eyewitness News anchors are here with their children to tell us what it's like being on television and being parents.
And we're going to get some more advice from Gary Schendel on how to get out of more sticky situations, including what to do if the couple you're out with is getting intimate in public and it's making you uncomfortable.
Also, on Minnesota Memories, we will be turning back the clock to the 1930s to see one of Minnesota's biggest golf tournaments. All that and more just ahead on Good Company.
From the Twin Cities, it's Good Company. With your hosts, Steve Edelman and Sharon Anderson. And roving reporter Gary Lumpkin. And now, Steve and Sharon.
Oh, thank you. You know, we said don't be too loud today because we have babies here and we think they're going to respond negatively to the noise. We've got an excited group here, and the reason is because we have three of the greatest looking children I think I've ever seen. Aren't they gorgeous?
Aren't they precious?
Oh,
yes.
So I don't know if Scott Roberts happy.
Good.
Let us introduce you to who we have here today. We have the anchors from Eyewitness News with their children to talk about what it's like for them to be parents and at the same time on television. We'll start out with Dennis Feltgen, who is on our left there. Dennis is with his 9-month-old son, Daryl, and you can see Daryl's very happy. We have Cindy Mercado is here, and that's Cindy's Brooks. Brooks, what a face, I love it.
She is having such a good time here already.
And Brooks is 1.5 years old.
Leading the applause.
And next to Cindy, of course, we have Bob Bruce with the famous Scott Robert, who is 5 months old. And there they all are. Cindy, why don't we start with you? It seemed to me that Brooks, while we were getting ready for this show, was a very independent little girl. Is that true?
You noticed. I would say that's probably the hallmark of her personality. They're independent.
That poor table.
Yeah. She has a pretty strong will. We don't really usually try to fight her too much unless it's clear she's going to get in trouble or do something wrong. And I think the other thing is that she's actually got a pretty good sense of humor most of the time. She loves a joke.
How can you tell that in someone 1.5?
Well, you know, if we tell a joke, if adults are laughing, she'll usually try to laugh. She will laugh. She doesn't know what's going on, but she thinks it's funny. And if you bag her a little bit, make fun of her, she makes fun of herself, and she'll go along with that. She likes that, too.
Yeah?
She likes water.
It's all over us now. I hope we like it that much, huh?
Well, now, Dennis, how about you? Now, what's Daryl like as a person?
Daryl is a very good-spirited kid. He takes a lot of lumps from his older twin brothers, who are just 14 months older than him. But he laughs a lot and is a real wiggle worm.
Wiggle worm?
Wiggle worm.
Yeah.
He doesn't sit still very well. Of course, he's taken a couple lessons from Brooks here.
Yes. But is his personality very different from his older brothers?
I think it is. He's a lot more of a happier baby than I think the twins were at 9 months old. But he gets along with everybody, and if he ever keeps his ear infections away, he's real good.
Bob, tell us about Scott Robert. What's he like as a person?
Well, it's kind of hard to say what he's like because he's just at the point where he's developing his personality. He's only 5 months old, so he's to the fun stage, I think, now. The first 4.5 months are really a lot of work with a small child, but now he's getting to be fun, and you know, when you watch him and he watches you, and you can tell, like when he sees my wife's face, Lori, I can watch and he'll just glow You know, it's neat how he's beginning to recognize, and he knows who the main two folks are.
Now you're the one.
Excuse me, Sharon. We have to show you what's going on here. Now, Cindy, this is what we call independence.
Oh, she's gonna roll down the stairs.
Is she okay there? Is everything okay there?
Oh yeah, she's fine.
But your approach is to pretty much let her do what she wants to do.
Well, no, not really.
Uh-huh.
Not after
I'm not on the
today,
microphone.
Oh, you're off mic. Okay, that's okay. But I think Brooks is going to be on mic in just a few seconds. We'll do that. Oh yeah.
There.
What is your technique? What is your technique in dealing with your child? Is it are you strict or how does it work?
I'm strict to the point where I don't like him misbehaving when other people are around, only because I get embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
But
Excuse me.
at this age, it's very difficult to really discipline them because they really don't know what's going on. They're into everything. They can't wait to get into the Tupperware cabinet or the pots and pans and anything like that. So we just let him go to that. But if he starts picking it up and hitting his brother across the head with it, that's when we draw the line on it.
Yeah.
We don't have too many discipline problems yet.
Bob, was that something that you think about all the time, whether to go and pick up Scott the minute he starts to cry? And is it a matter of trying to train him to your schedule or the other way around?
Well, we go by his schedule, but I'm more of a softie than Lori is. Lori is much better. I remember the first night we brought him home, I wanted him to sleep in the bedroom with us. And she said, no, he sleeps in his room, and we start off the right way from the very beginning. It was kind of hard getting used to that.
Now, you're the newest at this of the three. What was the biggest surprise for you?
I think the biggest surprise, well, I don't know if it was so much a surprise, but the biggest change is that I've had to accept a lot more responsibility at home. You know, used to I could just come and go as I please, and I didn't have to worry about, you know, my schedule or anything, but now, you know, it would be unfair to just leave Lori at home all the time taking care of Scott, and so I have to accept more responsibility. And plus, the biggest change is I get up awful early now. I used to never get up before 10 o'clock, and now it's sometimes 6, sometimes 7, whenever he decides he wants a bottle.
Well, Cindy, now how has Brooks changed your life?
Well, she probably hasn't changed it much outwardly. We had, I think, ever since I got married, I wanted to have a baby, and I always kind of planned on having a baby.
Yeah, she's yours.
So she fit right into our schedule. But I think I look at things a little differently. I'm very aware of other children in the community. I'm aware of programs for children. I'm a little bit more aware of my own mortality, because I think sometimes about, I hope I see my grandchildren. Or I think, gee, I wonder if this is going to be around when Brooks gets to be an adult. You know, and you start thinking into the future, and you start seeing almost the end of your life. You know, you start seeing things mapped out because you make plans for the future. You have to make plans, more than just plans for yourself. And I think that's changed.
Did anything in you change when you had Brooks? I mean, did you see yourself any differently?
Once again, I don't think so. It seems to me that I always had a place in my life for Brooks. I mean, a long time ago, when I was in college, I wanted a little girl. I wanted her to look like this. You know, there was always a place for her.
She does. She looks very much like you.
Well, she looks like both of us. She resembles me, I think, when I was a baby, too. And we seem to be able to understand each other. I have a feeling I must have been like her as a child.
What do you think she has in mind right this second?
Bye.
She wants to roam. She wants to walk, stretch her legs.
Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you let her walk around? We're going to break to commercial and come back and get some questions from our
Do you
audience.
want to go get the bear? Where could be? Oh.
When I'm walking on the beach, I like to go barefoot. However, since I don't get to the beach very often, these sandals from Payless are the next best thing. Real leather and light. I swear I'm not wearing shoes at all. Harold there wants to buy me another couple of pairs. Says it's cheaper than a vacation.
Much cheaper.
Right now, save on these real leather coaster sandals for women. On sale for just $7. Payless Shoe Source. You could pay more, but why?
Using that expensive detergent in these times? Expensive? Not Fresh Start. Come on, Beth. That small bottle costs about the same as this big box of detergent.
Sure, but I get the same number of wash loads because Fresh Start's concentrated. You only need a quarter cup.
But how well can a quarter cup work?
Better than your detergent. Fresh Start's got an extra whitener, extra brightener, and stain fighters your big box doesn't have.
You know, I just had a great idea.
I think your idea has a lot of value.
Fresh Start. Just a little detergent gets you a lot of clean.
Introducing Grandma's Cookies.
Bessie, this time you have really knocked my socks off. I mean, making your own fresh chocolate sandwich cookies. I never heard of such a thing. Look at them rich, creamy insides and them crispy little wafers. And they're all so perfect. Bessie, I don't mean to be unkind, but you've always been a little uneven in your work. A whole new me.
New Grandma's Cookies taste suspiciously close to homemade.
When you are out looking for grapefruit taste, you'll find it in sugar-sweetened Wylers, and now in brand new sugar-free Wylers for all the family. Either way, sugar-sweetened or sugar-free, you know this grapefruit taste comes only in Wylers. Come home to Wylers.
We're back with our anchors from Eyewitness News with their children, and you'll notice there's a little change in the configuration. On the step now, we have Brooks Bricado, who has found a place that makes her comfortable, and she's a star in her own right, as you can tell. Yeah. So she's there. Now, Daryl Felkin seems pretty happy up there in Dennis's lap. He's happy with the bear. But now, what happened to Scott Robert?
Well, it's a little hot in here. He's still only 5 months, so it's awful hot, and he was getting a little cranky, so.
And you could tell.
Well, and loud noise is sort of upsetting, too. I'm surprised he did as well as he did with all the applause and everything.
Yeah. We have a little surprise for you all. We, and you can participate in this, too. We have pictures of our anchor people here, the way they looked when they were little babies. So let's take a look at our first picture and see if you can guess which one of our news team this is as a child. Here we go, our first picture. Who is that?
Gee, I can't imagine.
That's great. Yes. And there she is with Brooks. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, they really do look alike.
Yes.
Now, who's that? You think it's Dennis?
Do you?
Is it Bob?
I think it's Bob, yes.
Bob.
You know, you look like, when you look at his baby picture, you do look like.
And there he is in Scott. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, their eyes look so similar.
A lot in the mouth. Well, then, we know who this is.
That's before he saw stormy weather, right? And there's Daryl and Detta. Isn't that something?
Very much alike.
Nice to be gentle with the baby.
We have some questions for you all from the audience here.
Come on over here.
Yes. I'd like to ask Cindy where she found a reliable babysitter.
My husband. He stays at home with the baby. The best babysitter in the world.
True.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Cindy the same question, but my alternate was, do you have the baby on your schedule because you have a different, or on your husband's?
You know, it's everybody kind of operates on the same schedule, and since I work basically a night shift, 3 to 11, she's on my schedule. When she was really small and I was nursing... There she goes. When she was really small and a lot easier to take care of, and I was nursing her, she nursed on my schedule. And we were surprised at how adaptable she was, but I think she didn't know any better, and she figured this is the way everybody lives, so why not?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Being directly connected with the news, is that going to affect the toys such as guns and toy guns and things like that you're going to allow the kids to play with?
I think I probably would have feelings about that with or without doing news stories about it. But I think, you do become a lot more cautious. You realize all the things that could happen to a child, not only with toys, but with people out there. And, yeah, you tend to be a lot more cautious, a lot more careful.
Absolutely.
How about that with the other two? Do you think, Bob, about the kinds of toys that Scott plays with, that kind of thing?
Not really. The only thing I want him to do is, I won't be pushing him into sports, but I would like him to... Sure, Bob. Right.
How about that hockey stick you bought him?
Right, yeah, that's true. I would like him to get involved with some lifetime sports like tennis or golf, so that I think it's very important in a child's development to participate in sports in some ways, because you can learn an awful lot of valuable lessons. I know it helped me as a kid.
How about football?
Football, I'm not too keen on him playing football, and that was the sport I played a lot of. There are an awful lot of injuries, but you know, if he wants to play football or he wants to play hockey, it's up to him. I just want to expose him to as many things as possible, and if he wants to play something, then more power to him.
And you say not football because you think it's too dangerous?
Well, it is very dangerous, and there are a lot of injuries, but you can't live your life worried about things like that. You know, if he wants to play football, I played football and was never hurt seriously, so. Yeah. But my wife may have different different opinions on that. I do remember her saying just recently, though, that we're not going to buy many little toy guns and that sort of toy. We stay away from that.
Dennis, how about you? Do you have particular directions that you want your sons to go in?
I want them to be what they want to be. My parents always did that, and whatever I wanted to be career-wise, they were behind me. The kind of toys, you were mentioning toys earlier, the kind of toys that I want to get for them is something that they cannot hurt themselves on, but it's also something they learn along the way. And I agree with Bob, if they want to get into sports, that's fine, but I'm not very keen on football either.
Are you picky with those toys? In other words, I understand there are certain things you can put in a crib that spin around, you know, and all that. I mean, have you really looked hard at that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, we look hard at that. We go through the Consumer Report catalog to make sure that he can't injure themselves on it. And we also make sure that if it's something little, that the twins, if it's something real little that he can play with, it's okay, but we also make sure that it's out of harm's reach from the twins. Okay. They'll tear it to pieces in a second.
Another question here.
Cindy, speaking as a mother of 5 children, isn't it still awfully hard on you, working and managing?
Yes.
Even with your husband babysitting.
It's a big job.
I mean, the house,
right,
keeping up yourself, and taking care of your child.
It is a little different, I think. My husband and I have talked about this, being a mother and working as opposed to being a father and working, and I don't know if it's just, maybe it's just instinctive. I mean, I carried her, I nursed her, there's no way I can leave the house and not think about her constantly during the day, what she had for dinner, how she acted, but, you know, the rewards more than make up for the anxiety, and I would never trade it for the world, and I think, you know, if I don't know if we'll have another child, but I know I would like to have one if I could fit another one in. You know, there's nothing more wonderful in the world. It's one of the best experiences of my life.
What do you think? Would you recommend 5 for Cindy?
I don't think so.
They are a lot of fun.
Thank you. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
Here's a kid who eats Wonder Bread instead of whole wheat. What can she hit?
Smarty.
With Wonder, good nutrition doesn't have to be whole wheat. Whole wheat does have more of some nutrients and fiber, but Wonder has just as much calcium, niacin, and iron. And kids love Wonder.
Nice hit. For boy.
With Wonder and a balanced diet, good nutrition doesn't have to be whole wheat.
Wonder is a proud supplier to the 1984 U.S. Olympic team.
Okay, you guys at the table. I'll make the chicken.
I'll make the potatoes.
Stovetop stuffing.
Stovetop. My team likes potatoes.
Want a bit? We'll make both. Okay.
Luckiest catch.
Hey, stuffing's terrific. Sure beats potatoes.
I know. Pass me some.
No one's touched the potatoes.
I noticed.
Stovetop stuffing instead of potatoes. And try delicious stovetop for beef, too.
If you're using the leading paper towel, you could be running out a lot faster than you would with Gala. Gala's got 120 practical size sheets in every roll, 20 more sheets than the leading brand. If you keep running out of paper towels, get Gala, because you never run out of spills. Gala, when others run out, we keep going.
There are threats of violence behind Helen Reddy's custody fight for her 10-year-old son. As you'll see when you buy this week's People. People explains the tug-of-war between Helen, her child, and the father. Then trip along with Mash's Klinger to the hometown he yearned for. Next, who's flunking, our kids or our schools? No wonder so many people trust People. Plus the Yale co-ed who's a hit in the hit movie Flashdance. So pick up this week's People for yourself, for your family, and read about Helen Reddy's bitter battle for her child.
We're back with our anchor team from Eyewitness News. We're taking questions for them about being parents. By the way, Stan Turner isn't here because his youngest child is, we think, 15 or 17. We're not sure which.
16, I
16?
think.
We'll see where it's right in the middle there. And you can see in the continuing saga of Brooks. Where's Brooks now? Well, she has found herself a comfortable position as the fourth anchor. But her act is somewhat questionable.
You planned this, right?
Brooks, when you get older, you're going to have to forget that one. Okay, question here.
Dennis, I'd like to know, you're twins. It doesn't even seem like it's been 2 years since they've been born. How do you cope with 3?
We are asked that question all the time, and Sheila and I wonder how we do it ourselves. It takes a lot of cooperation. I'm not going to say we don't argue about it, because we do. That's what keeps everything going. The thing we have to do is work with each other. I sacrifice a lot of free time, as does Sheila, and somehow it all comes together. It isn't easy, but we'll look back on it and wonder, gee, that wasn't so bad after all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon?
Dennis, you say that raising the children is something that you argue about, that you discuss a lot. Did you find that your relationship changed much with Sheila after the first children were born?
Oh, yes, it did. I found that I had a bad habit of going off in my own little world and just doing all my little hobbies, and I find I can't do that. It isn't fair to her, and it isn't fair to the children. And the one thing I want to make sure I do is... Hi, Brooks. Kid. One thing I want to make sure I do is I don't want to waste these years when they're young. That's a very foolish thing to do, and I just won't allow myself to do it. So I know Sheila's going to look at this and say, yeah, but you're still running off in your own little world. I'll admit it, I do, but only a little bit.
Bob, how about you? It's only been 5 months now. Has your relationship changed with Lori?
Totally.
Really?
Totally. Yeah, I think we're much closer now. It gives you sort of a single purpose in life. And the thing that amazes me, that even in the short 5 months, it's hard to imagine life without him. It just, people, until you have a child, before we had Scotty, we thought about having a child, and we thought it would be better and would make things really nice and everything. And once you had them, you just don't realize how full it makes your life. It's just totally different. You have a purpose for living. Like Cindy mentioned, the feeling that, now, I used to not worry. I used to do crazy things, jump out of airplanes, and not worry about ever dying, because I've had a very full and nice life. But now, I really want to take care of myself, because I want to be around for him. I want to teach him things. It's a totally different world for me, and I got to have more than one, because, it's too much fun.
Great.
Gotta ask Dennis. Dennis, both 2 children have gravitated to you now. Does that mean that children do that in general, or is this atypical for you?
I'm just a loving guy, Steve.
I mean, really, do children respond to you? Is that something?
I think they do. I was the oldest. I was the oldest of 4 children, and I was a built-in babysitter for my parents, and it's just something I've learned along the way.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to ask this question of Bob. How do you arrange to spend quality time with your child?
Well, I'm very fortunate in the fact that I think our schedule working on the news is ideal for small children, because Scotty's best time of the day is about 6:30 in the morning when he gets up for his morning bottle. So I get up in the morning and give him that bottle and spend about 2.5 hours with him then, and he's just great. And then when I come home for dinner, if there's not a ball game to go to, I come home at about 7 o'clock, and he's awake. It's just before he goes to bed, and I can, watch him eat his dinner and play with him and then put him to bed. So there's a lot of good time, and I think, as it goes on, when he gets 4 or 5 years old, it's going to be great during the day when, I don't have to come in till like 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Question here.
How do you want your children to react to your being so well known in the Twin Cities when they get older?
That's difficult. I don't know how I'm going to handle that. I know Cindy and Dennis, I don't know what they'll say about it, but I'm very concerned about when I got into this business, my father constantly reminded me that you're no different than a bricklayer. This just happens to be your talent. Everybody has their own talent. I just want him to think of me as this is just another job. It's the way I earn my living, and that, it's no different than anybody else's. And that's going to be very difficult, I think. I think it's,
Cindy, how about you?
Well,
how can you handle
that? I think that having the children having grown up with it, from the moment that they were born, they could see their parents on TV. I think that'll make a difference. I think it'll be a little more commonplace than meeting somebody who's on TV for the first time when they're, say, 10 or 11 years old, and having that person become a part of their lives. I think that people, I'm hoping, too, that Brooks gets such a varied education, that she meets people whose parents do all kinds of things. And
Do you think there's a chance that she will grow up in your shadow?
In my shadow? Her?
Sure.
Never.
Dennis?
I agree with what Bob was saying. That I take the attitude that this job is like any other one. It's just that a lot of people see the kind of job I do. That's all it is. But I do not in any way want these kids to think that this is something different and they should be treated special or any different than any other child.
Yeah. Thank you all very much for joining us with your children. I know it wasn't easy, and I thought maybe we'd get the last word here from Brooks. Brooks, do you have anything to say now? Because, you know, you've been walking around a lot and meeting a lot of people. What'd you think? Did you like it?
Do you want to say bye-bye?
Want to say
bye-bye
bye-bye?
to everybody?
Bye-bye. Daryl, you want to say bye-bye? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do it. Bye-bye.
Coming up tomorrow on Good Company, we'll find out about a